We're going to continue our conversation about gender just a little bit more, specifically about the gender binary. And I have a bunch of images to share with you because I am using a big old example of a gender reveal party. I think I've been to a couple of them. Maybe you have too over the years, but we know how they work. And it's a misnomer. Like, we're not revealing gender, we're revealing biological sex that's been determined based upon anatomy and an ultrasound. But still, everything's pink or blue. I'm all for a party. He or she birth. Never look at that the same way again, right? And a lot of times, like, it's celebrated by cutting into a cake and it's like the big surprise inside. And so, kind of thinking through how this is an either or, one or the other, pink or blue, boy or girl choice. And then let's think about too, who usually celebrates babies, like baby showers, even wedding showers, and things like that, are usually kind of feminine parties. But something interesting happens with gender reveals. Not always, but sometimes people just blow up shit to like celebrate that a baby's gonna be a boy or a girl. And I would say that explosions are stereotypically masculine. I don't know if you agree or not, but it's kind of interesting how something that is kind of, I would say again, stereotypically masculine is utilized to celebrate that something that oftentimes is stereotypically feminine. So, okay, let's get you invited to these parties. I have gathered many, many images of invitations from Etsy. So, tutus or ties, quarterback or cheerleader, boots or bows, cupcake or stud muffin, lures or lace, rifles or ruffles, guns or glitter, pistols or pearls. There's a lot of weaponry in the gender reveal invitation market. I did not anticipate this originally. Then sometimes they're a little bit not as binary either or, right? But yeah, actually, kind of goes back to it a lot. Stashes or lashes. There's also a fair amount of hunting. Like, we forget in California that there's lots of cultural norms in our country that are outside of California. So, bows or burnout, heels or wheels, Luke or Leia, Beauty or the Beast, free throws or pink bows, putters or pearls. The prince or princess one is just a little creepy, but try not to be judgmental. More weaponry in the invitation market. These are not, again, as quite as binary, like either or, but other ways of getting people invited to this. I think that last one, the Huggies and Chuggies, is interesting because then again, kind of a masculine version of a baby shower, like, hey, let's go drink beer and can you bring me some diapers? So I've used the word binary a few times. Let's talk about what the binary is. In general, a binary is two things and they're opposite. And so when we discuss the gender binary, what we're saying is there's only two types of people. There's female bodied people who are feminine, and there are male bodied people who are masculine. And for a lot of people, this works. I fit into the binary myself. I am female bodied and I identify as feminine. That means I'm cisgender. If you've ever heard the term cisgender, we're going to talk about cisgender a little bit more later in the semester in relation to privileged identities, because you can have cisgender privilege. That there's a lot of things you don't have to worry about when you fit into the binary. Our society is developed around that assumption that everybody fits into this either or system of two genders. But that's not accurate. So there's so many different opportunities for gender expression, non-binary, gender expansive, like just transgender. There's so many different identities. And when we only look at the gender binary, we're alienating many people and saying that there's only these two choices and you don't fit in them. And let's go back to critical thinking, right? One of the aspects of critical thinking, one of the general standards, is fairness. And is that fair? And in a world where we have so many different choices for so many different things, and we're socially constructing so many different identities, how does gender operate? Are we respectful to everyone? Are we kind? How is power distributed in society in relation to gender? lots to kind of think about in relation to the gender binary. Granted, I started this whole thing very like lighthearted, like, oh, pink or blue, cake, right? But honestly, gender can get very, very serious, especially for people whose identities are beyond the binary. Like life is beautiful when we don't necessarily always adhere to what society expects of us. But it doesn't always mean that society is kind about it. And so hopefully this has given you a lot to think about.